The wind ripped through the forest like it was trying to tear her apart. Snow stung her cheeks, whipping across her face in icy lashes, and each breath she drew burned her lungs. Lyra's boots skidded on frozen ground, scraping against ice and tree roots, threatening to throw her face first into the snow at every step. She could feel the warmth of her blood bleeding through her side, soaking her coat, yet there was no time to slow, no time to think. Every shadow seemed alive. The trees swayed unnaturally, branches groaning like old bones, whispering warnings she wasn't sure she wanted to hear. Beneath her skin, her silver flame pulsed faintly, quickening with her fear, her anger, her desperation, casting ghostly flashes of light that danced across the snow and flickered through the trees. She had to control it. Don't shift, not here, not now, or they'll know I'm more than human. Behind her, branches snapped. The distant howls of wolves sliced through the storm, cutting straight into her chest. She could smell them on the wind, sharp and metallic, mingling with her own blood. Every sense was screaming danger. Her heart pounded like a drum, threatening to split her ribs with every beat, but still, she ran. Then the ground betrayed her. A jagged stone, hidden beneath the snow, caught her foot. She stumbled, scrambling to regain balance. Ahead, ruins rose from the earth, ancient and foreboding, black shadows etched against the snowstorm's blur. She froze, chest heaving, boots sliding on ice, the wind threatening to snatch her into the void below. She didn't know if she could make the next step. She didn't know if survival was possible. And yet, even in that moment of pure panic, there was fire inside her. A spark she hadn't asked for, a power that the world feared, pulsing beneath her skin, daring her to rise above the terror, to fight, to run, to survive. If you love stories where power is feared before it's understood, welcome to Wide Moon Narratives. Subscribe and run with us beneath the moon. Lyra's lungs burned with every ragged breath, her side a fiery ache beneath the blood-soaked coat. Her hands scraped snow from the jagged stone ruins as her boots slipped again, the world around her a blur of white, ice, and storm. Then, from the swirl of snow and wind, a figure emerged. Not from nowhere. No, she would have seen him before if it were possible, but as if the storm itself had decided to give him form. He stepped forward with a calm that made her teeth chatter in confusion. Calm and dangerous, each movement precise, measured, like a predator that had walked forests for decades and knew every heartbeat of its prey. And yet, despite that danger, there was something magnetic about him, something in the way the wind seemed to bow around him, not to push him, that made the air itself still for a heartbeat. "You're Lyra," he said, his voice cut through the howl of the storm like steel through ice. Not a question, not a guess, a statement. And in those two words, a storm of disbelief, fear, and a strange, sudden hope collided inside her chest. He knew her name. He knew her. The howl of pursuit grew louder, closer, snapping branches behind her. Wolves, men, spirits. It didn't matter. He moved, and in a single fluid motion, the chaos froze. The figures hunting her skidded to a halt, their confidence cracking, as if the air itself had grown heavy with his presence. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He was the threat. Lyra's heart slammed against her ribs. Fear, yes. But something else too. A pull she hadn't felt in years. A strange recognition that the man before her could be her salvation or her undoing. "You're not safe here," he said, gaze piercing through the storm and somehow straight through her. "They think they can control you. They don't know what you are, yet." His jaw tightened. A flicker of something sharp, anger, possessiveness, passed across his features. Lyra caught it, even through the storm. She wanted to ask him how he knew what he saw in her, but words stuck in her throat. The storm raged. The wolves, the hunters, the storm itself, they all waited. And she realized, as his eyes met hers with that raw, unshakable intensity, that whatever this man was, whatever he wanted, she couldn't run from him, not anymore. And maybe, for the first time in a long, lonely life, she didn't want to. Lyra stumbled forward, the snow crunching beneath her boots like brittle bones, her side still a hot, pulsing ache. Her breathing was ragged, each inhale a reminder that she was alive, and that she had survived so much already. But survival had come at a price. Always at a price. She remembered the day the pack had branded her as too dangerous. She had been barely 16, eyes wide with fear, her small body trembling in the center of that circle of judgment. The fire of her silver flame had betrayed her then, tiny sparks licking the air above her skin, invisible to most, but terrifying enough for those who claimed to protect her. She is not one of us, they had said. She cannot be trusted. She is a weapon, a curse waiting to happen. She had run that day, as she ran now, her heart carrying the weight of their fear, their rejection. The silver flame that had once hidden in timid flickers now pulsed stronger beneath her skin, an unstable rhythm that mirrored the storm inside her. She could feel it coiling, raw and dangerous, just beneath the surface, threatening to break free at the worst possible moment. The forbidden bloodline coursing through her veins was both a gift and a curse, and she had learned long ago that to trust anyone with it was to risk losing them, or herself. And yet, Derek, there was something in the way he looked at her, something unspoken that made her want to believe. He didn't flinch at the power she carried. He didn't recoil when her pulse flared beneath her skin, lighting her veins with fire. His presence was magnetic, commanding, and somehow, impossibly, safe. She wanted to reach for that safety, to let it anchor her, but she couldn't, not completely. Trust was a luxury she had never earned. Every instinct screamed survival first, solitude always. But there was a whisper now, soft and unrelenting. She wanted connection. She wanted someone to see her, not the weapon, not the exile, not the girl everyone had feared, but her. And Derek, with his eyes sharp as ice yet warm in some hidden corner, made that longing unbearable. The wind whipped around her again, but it was no longer just a storm outside. The storm inside her roared louder, fear and desire, mistrust and hope, on fire and ice battling for dominance. Could she survive this chase, this life, without surrendering the one thing she had always denied herself, trust? She glanced at him, the alpha who had appeared like a shadow made flesh, and for a fleeting second, the world felt less hostile, less lonely. And then the memories returned. Exile, rejection, the pack that had tried to destroy her, the constant, gnawing fear that her own power would betray her at the worst moment. Yet still, a stubborn spark remained, because even in her darkest hours, even when the storm threatened to tear her apart, Lyra knew that running alone wasn't enough anymore. Not when someone like him existed. Not when she had a chance, however fragile, to reclaim herself, to prove that she was more than a weapon, more than a curse. The grove had been quiet, sacred even, on until the air itself seemed to twist, carrying a sharp metallic tang that set Lyra's nerves screaming. Her silver flame pulsed beneath her skin, a heartbeat of warning she couldn't ignore. The trees whispered uneasily, shadows stretching unnaturally across the frost-covered earth, and a low growl rolled through the wind, ominous, deliberate, and filled with malice. Before she could brace herself, the first attack came. From the edges of the grove, figures moved with unnatural speed. Shadow beasts, their forms shifting like smoke around jagged claws, and pack dissenters who had never forgiven her for the fire she carried, for the power that had marked her as different. Lyra stumbled backward, boots slipping on the ice, her side screaming with pain as one of them lunged. She barely dodged, sparks of silver fire flickering in reflex, illuminating her attacker's sneer for a fraction of a second before darkness claimed it again. "Lyra!" Derek's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding, but beneath the authority there was raw tension, almost desperation. He was moving too, closing distances with the precision of an alpha who knew every angle, every risk, yet his eyes never left hers. Something in his gaze made her heart twist, the conflict between loyalty and desire, between duty and the unspoken pull they shared. "You have to leave," a council elder barked from the ruined altar, his voice cracking the winter silence. This power you carry, it threatens us all. Step back or be cast out." Their words stung, each syllable like a blade pressing into her ribs. Lyra's silver flame surged, responding not just to fear, but to fury, and to the injustice of being hunted for who she was, rather than who she had chosen to be. Derek froze, the wind tugging at his coat, the shadows bending around him, and she saw it, the impossible choice forced upon him. His pack, his authority, the world he had been born to protect, or her. For a heartbeat, the grove fell into a fragile silence, broken only by the distant howls and the crackling ice beneath their feet. Lyra's pulse thundered. Every instinct screamed retreat, survival first, and yet fury blazed hotter than the silver fire under her skin. If the world wanted to cast her out, to label her a danger, then she would not leave quietly. She would fight, she would stand, and she would do it with Derek, or without him, if he chose the pack over her. The first clash was more than physical, it was emotional, a collision of loyalty, fear, and desire. The air vibrated with tension, and the snow-laden trees bore witness as the fragile tether between them stretched, threatening to snap. Lyra's eyes, burning with determination and anger, met his, and for the first time in years, she made a silent vow. They would not control her, they would not dictate her destiny, and she would